Hey guys, welcome back to the second part of the Dodging Disbandment and Other Extreme Sports, a history of Dreamcatcher by Mera. So I was, so this is the second part. And I will link down the first part if you haven't watched it yet. And yeah, let's continue with the second part.
Kicking
The
off
later
2018,
half
Dreamcatcher celebrated their
this
first
video.
anniversary with a fan meet. All 400 tickets sold out within minutes. While Dreamcatcher may have not been the biggest group in the world, their work in the past year had started to bring in dedicated fans. The celebration included the release of revamped material, new photo shoots, and the release of their fan-dedicated single, Full Moon. There was also an announcement of a March comeback. Time passed, they wrapped up their tour activities, and March arrived. They released their official name for the fan base, but no comeback. The month went on, no comeback. March ended, April began, and still no comeback. Eventually, Happy Face announced that the album had been delayed, and fans were starting to get antsy. Dreamcatcher did not have a good history regarding album delays, and the last thing anyone wanted was a re-debut. April closed out with no sign of Dreamcatcher. Moving into May, Happy Face was utterly vacant. None of the members were making announcements, and the radio silence was starting to scare people. What the hell was going on? Finally, something gave way. An official announcement told the fans that Dreamcatcher were named ambassadors for Microsoft's blockchain security technology, and everyone said,
"Where's the
Catcher?"
What does that mean? Dreamcatcher appointed Microsoft's ambassador for copyright protection campaign.
Ambassadors for Microsoft's blockchain security technology, and everyone said,
"Where's the album? We want the album."
Hey, what? Come on, this isn't a comeback. Where's the comeback? I thought we were getting it. And then Dreamcatcher dropped You and I. On May 10th, Dreamcatcher released their second album, Escape the Era. 6 songs, a budget update, and a hit on the charts. The comeback peaked at number 3 on the Gaon chart and debuted at number 7 on Billboard World Albums. The comeback centered around their iconic sound while also playing
they're always like
the style, choreography, and album maintain their unique tricks while also imbuing them with elements of girl crush and EDM. 2 of the hottest dishes on the table at the moment. The comeback sparked heat in the industry, and the fanbase expanded into the mainstream.
Yeah,
this was a good sign, because despite the touring projects Dreamcatcher had done in the past year,
so they're progressing, little by little, but sure.
They're yet to solidify a foothold across the ocean. You and I didn't draw blood in just the Korean market. Suddenly, the international fanbase was stoked from the embers, and Dreamcatcher rose from the ranks of cult favorite to commercial success.
I'm not afraid of spider.
You and I was going to be the song
so
that
this scene did not really shock me.
They had a really good week. And when I say a week, I do mean a week. For a full 7 days, it was Dreamcatcher's world. They received their first ever nomination for a win with You and I.
Really love the
and then...
Such a shame.
To be fair, it didn't matter who you were shunted out the door when Love Yourself Tear dropped.
True.
Popularity disparity. Now we're gonna hit some confusion in the storyline. Sensing the growth of their popularity, the group went into something of a frenzy. Riding the high of You and I, they released a 3rd mini-album in September as part of their What comeback.
I think I'm going to skip a lot of the songs.
And officially broke the 30,000 sales mark for a mini
album. To avoid copyright.
The album charted at number 2, which remains their highest position of all time as of the making of this video. They had a Japanese debut, and while they were met with some initial success, the activities in Japan remained largely unrealized. 2019. Regardless, they had another comeback on February 13th of 2019 with The End of Nightmare, and its single, Period.
Ilili.
I believe this is when Happy Face rebranded as Dreamcatcher Company, but some sources also say that it was a sub-label known as Dreamcatcher Company. Bless their hearts, I have no idea what they put in the water at Happy Face. And then off they went on yet another tour.
Oh.
Here's where things start to get Shakespearean, and I mean that in the bucket loads of pathetic fallacy way. And no, pathetic fallacy has nothing to do with the word pathetic meaning desperate or depressing. Rather, everywhere Dreamcatcher went, things started to go wrong. Their concert in Jakarta was completely shut down for reasons that were never explained. There were scheduling conflicts and issues with tickets, and one of the theaters caught fire and burned down. Everything was going pear-shaped. After the tour, more Japanese promotions were released, but they went nowhere. In hopes of reigniting fan morale, the group opened applications for their official fan club that summer, but even then, little news came out of it and the whole affair slipped under the waves. While Dreamcatcher seemed to be anywhere and everywhere and their comebacks were reaching decent upfront numbers, there was something off about their success. No matter how frequent the comebacks or how long the tours, Dreamcatcher couldn't seem to create a sense of longevity. The spaghetti wasn't sticking to the wall, and after a few weeks of initial success, Dreamcatcher's prominence would fade and take a backseat to everyone else in the industry. They seemed to be relying almost entirely on reappearance power, but in the grand scheme of things, it seemed that not many people outside the immediate fandom would notice that they went silent. Dreamcatcher's streak of good luck had short-circuited, and the members were rightfully exhausted. It was time to take a break, get some air, and come back when everyone was good and ready. In the meantime, Happy Face did what they do best, something unconventional. Happy Face started having board meetings with Vespa, an indie game developing company based in South Korea.
Oh. I thought the motorcycle.
Handshake.
Vespa.
I like your tie.
I'm not wearing a tie. Have a handshake.
I heard the food would be provided.
I lied. Hello.
Your hands are very warm.
What if we kill one of the members and have her come back from the dead?
So here's my idea. Give Chi-Yu a big fucking sword.
Yes, exactly.
Brilliant.
I was thinking the same thing.
Fantastic.
That's all I've ever wanted.
Match made in heaven. On September 18th, we finally saw what all those board meetings have been about.
Oh, deja vu. One of the most unique Dreamcatcher outfits.
Deja Vu was unlike anything Dreamcatcher had done before. The comeback was a collaboration with Vespa's mobile game King's Raid, which contributed to the expensive and dramatic visuals in the music video. That usual Dreamcatcher core was now combined with an emotional ballad, and it gave them their first charting song in the K-pop Hot 100. The album, Raid of Dream, hit number 3 and became their highest-selling album of all time. There was still one milestone that Dreamcatcher and their fandom had yet to crack, a first win on a music show. They'd come close in the past year, but hadn't quite managed to snag one. With the emerging success of Deja Vu, they might have their shot. Deja Vu was nominated for a win by SBS's music show, The Show,
Was
and
that the
many
case?
fans crossed their fingers in hopes that Dreamcatcher would take home their first win. That night,
먼저 사전에 집계된 응원은 점수입니다.
Ooh.
동영상과 전문가 팬 사전 투표 점수입니다.
Subtitle speaking Korean.
여기에 생방송 중 집계된 실시간 앱투표 점수를 합친 결과 더쇼 초이스의 주인공은
No! That was so close! Only by one?
팬 사전 투표 점수입니다.
Oh, they like in the fuse. Yeah. 실시간 투표.
생방송 중 집계된
They were so high, and it's 5,000.
결과 더쇼 초이스의
Oh no, 11. I thought by one.
the winner of the night was Everglow, taking home their first ever win. I'm gonna label this entire section alleged. There are details that can't be confirmed about certain parts of this issue, and there's so many different parts to what happened, and a lot of it is loosely translated from Korean into English. I encourage you to do your own research and come to your own.
Is she going to show the Korean
anyway,
articles?
On to what happened
The Korean
as best as I could research.
things?
Just a little while after the show announced its winner, fans and non-fans of Dreamcatcher began speaking out against the final scores, claiming miscalculation and even fraudulent
Miscalculation?
So, there's a lot of controversy surrounding these numbers here. After the controversy gained some traction, a few fans started to claim that these numbers were already confirmed accurate and that the controversy was based on lies. As of now, there is absolutely no confirmation on any website in any language from any source that these numbers are accurate. Yes, if you add these numbers straight down, you do get 7,861 and 7,850. However, the addition of these numbers isn't what the outrage was about. It's that these numbers allegedly should have never existed like this to begin with, and that the calculation that was done to create them was fudged. So what went wrong? I'm basically going to be summarizing several articles that broke down the calculation process, the faulty results, and why people were saying it could have been intentional skewing. All of this information is readily accessible. I encourage you to look at them. One of the primary articles I'm looking at is this one by XDoubleStar, who, while not a website I'm deeply familiar with, provided a decent amount of verifiable information. I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot from them. Credit to the breakdown goes to XDoubleStar. Basically, row 2 is where fans claim things went wrong. According to XDoubleStar, we can establish beyond reasonable doubt that wrongdoing took place. Basically, 3 major things happened here. The first is that several points were shaved off of Dreamcatcher's YouTube score. Here is the viewer board of the show. Based on the show's own data, the score Dreamcatcher should have received was 1,472 points, higher than what they were actually given, which means the show had data that gave one result, and yet somehow another number showed up. But the second thing happened in the category Expert Preferences. What is Expert Preferences? It's basically a category where the broadcast can award points to groups based on what they claim are preferences of experts. But this category has long been disputed by practically every fandom in the industry and even some companies.
Because there's no clear
place where shows just skew points to favor certain groups.
Yeah.
In this episode of the show,
It's not clear
CLC and Everglow both
about the source of the
scores
point.
of 1,500 points
If
for
you
expert preference.
put
and
expert
Dreamcatcher
experience,
received a 0, which came as a shock
expert
to some
preference,
people.
sorry.
But even with a 0, Dreamcatcher still would have won. In order for Dreamcatcher to receive the lower final score that they did, the experts had to have given them less than the minimum amount of 0 and then masked it by announcing 0. Here's how that works. And again, these are all just claims as far as I know. Let's say that all the other data published in this section, except for expert preferences, was completely accurate. Now, let's remember that the minimum score for expert preference is apparently 0. When you calculate the full score giving Dreamcatcher an absolute 0 in expert preferences, their final score for this section is 1,972 points.
It's the lowest out of the 3.
The final score that the show released for Dreamcatcher was
Oh.
1,850, 122 points below the
They could have won if
score. How did
the score
show
was added
give
by
them a score
112
over
to
100 points below the minimum? Fans are saying that they gave Dreamcatcher negative points in this category. Allegedly, Dreamcatcher was given negative points in a category where you can't get negative points, which would mean that their score was deliberately subtracted. Dreamcatcher would have been given a false score on behalf of the show.
Choked on my saliva.
And if these weren't simple computer errors, this would be cheating. Several fans and non-fans alike recalculated the scores using the minimum possible of 1,472 points. And based on the results, even if
Sketchy.
Dreamcatcher had scored an actual 0 in expert preference, which again is absurd to begin with, they still would have beaten Everglow for first place. This led many fans to conclude that the show fudged Dreamcatcher's score and even subtracted points from it so that they could edge them in just under Everglow. If this is what happened, subtracting points from a group's score is tampering with the group's ability to win,
They could have
and that
won.
directly impacts a group's success. In the industry. So it's not really a surprise that some fans were disappointed and untrustworthy after the strange results were posted. Now, it's time to remember that this is not, under any circumstances, Everglow's fault. Everglow as a group had absolutely nothing to do with the way the show's scores were calculated, and no one can deny that they are
don't send
monster with the
hate to
group
them.
support. In the end, this is just as much a blow to Everglow as it is to Dreamcatcher. Everglow worked extremely
must have
hard
got
to
a
get
lot
it
of
all,
hate
and the last thing they'd want is
for
a
this.
fraudulent first win, especially regarding all the heated tensions around rigging right now. And of course, this is not the first time a music show has given a win to the wrong group. In May of 2016, KBS's Music Bank gave first place to AOA for Good Luck, when the actual win belonged twice for Cheer Up. In May of 2019, Mnet's and Countdown gave first place to New East for Bet Bet, when the win really belonged to Oh My Girl for the 5th season. Something about the month of May apparently throws everyone's math skills out the window. The difference, of course, is that these shows both made official and public announcements about the mistakes and corrected the math, as well as the true holder of the win. As of the making of this video, SBS and the show have made no such announcement. In fact, the only acknowledgement the show gave to the controversy were public tweets that seemed to passive-aggressively mock the group and the fans for the loss of the first win. And that was that for 2019. 2020. So what's up with Dreamcatcher now?
Oh, there's a lot
Based on
of
sheer numbers
explaining
alone, Dreamcatcher is a
for the
decently
calculation
successful
part.
group. Their continued sales presence puts them just under Lovelyz, AOA, and Idol. Given their commercial sales and consistent comeback rate, I feel comfortable saying that they're not going anywhere anytime soon. It could be that this underrated narrative comes from a lack of blockbuster success internationally or top 3 status, and as such causes them to fall into the shadows in the eyes of many international fans. It could also be, and this is my personal hypothesis, that many of the struggles Dreamcatcher has gone through point out a distinct attempt by shadier parts of the industry to stifle the growth of an unconventional group. The industry thrives on convention, unfortunately, and deviations from the norm are often denied, sabotaged, or shut down entirely. And yet, despite all that, Dreamcatcher has survived to today. Dreamcatcher are something of an utter fascination. Ever since they first appeared as Minx, they have been doing some serious parkour to keep in the game. Rolling, flipping, and flat out vaulting over Disbandment like they're in the goddamn
Nice
Olympics. It's pretty damn impressive, I think.
So accurate.
So here's to you, Dreamcatcher. Right now, you might be K-pop's Leonardo DiCaprio,
Yeah.
but you are by far some of the most unkillable girls in the game. Though I still have questions as to what you did to that one guy. Dreamcatcher has announced a Japanese comeback this upcoming March, and let's hope that both means actual
He's
March
forever
and more
trapped
success in Japan. Go get
the
them, girls.
mirror.
That's all from me this time. Best of luck to Dreamcatcher, and I'll catch you guys later.
Oh, it's okay. So they've gone through a lot, especially in their early days, Minx days. It must have been difficult for them with their but it's not really a disbandment because they immediately Face Entertainment immediately announced their debut, right? But it must have been a roller coaster of emotions because they must have been afraid to debut and still not succeeding. But I'm glad that they kind of got their recognition, even though they haven't got their first win. Yeah, the first win thing is actually quite sketchy. Maybe that's why some of you guys made a comment about that one question that I asked previously in one of my Dreamcatcher reactions about if they had their first win, but they haven't. But yeah, it was a close first win. Yeah, I really hope they can get their first win after all of this. But I really think the company, I'm also really grateful for the company. They're just not disbanding the group like the ARC. I don't know which company belongs which company the ARC belongs to, but yeah, I'm glad that they still decided to push the members out. Yeah guys, so I'm going to see some of the comments. So they debuted in 2014 as Minx and haven't got their first win since. It's like 6 years. When they got their first win, that it's going to be really tearful and emotional, and the fans will be emotional as well. The sudden reminders about the songs, I think I'm going to listen to all of the songs again. They really have good songs. So yeah guys, I really enjoyed this video. It gives a lot of information on the group and their history, their timeline, because the previous guide video was all about their personalities and what they do, what are their hobbies, and a lot of those things. But this is kind of the history of the Dreamcatcher as a group, and I really appreciate the person compiling this video. And yeah, you did a good research on this. Okay guys, so that was my reaction. Thank you guys for watching, and please recommend me other videos now that I already watched this. You can recommend me other videos like moment compilations or anything like that. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys in future videos. Bye.